Hello, my name is David. This is mic test. The stream is starting soon. Hi. 7 people. Yeah, the music is off, so that's good. If people can hear me, can you hear me? Talk to my boob, and hopefully someone like that will hear. Yeah, I think it's working. I don't know, the guy doesn't deaf. You're not deaf. Nope, I'm not deaf by your voice. Okay, I think it's fine. Cool. I want to get to the point where people are like hurting because they can hear my voice with their ears. I mean, I can now start hearing my voice, so that's probably about right. We keep talking just generally about more or less nothing. I have no idea what I'm meant to be saying. Yeah, I mean, that sounds good. I mean, I can just hear myself, so that's great. I have 2 beers. Right then, okay, hi. Welcome to the last of the 2018 season of DigitalOcean Amsterdam meetups. My name is David. I'm the guy who hosts these, and yeah, I'm the guy who sends out the emails as well. Yeah, a few things before we get started. If you are new and you haven't been to any DigitalOcean Amsterdam meetups, we host meetups roughly once a month. Sometimes we miss them, but usually it's once a month. And we cover various topics. It's pretty broad on web dev, the cloud, DevOps, all these kind of things. Basically tech and interesting stuff that I kind of like, and hopefully you guys will like too. So yeah, so we do this every month, and that's cool. So if you're new, hopefully you'll come back again and enjoy tonight. Tonight is a bit special because it's the last one of the year, and it's the one and only time that I host a talk too. Yeah, and there's a prize table as well, which I don't normally do. It's much smaller normally, but yes. Yeah, so whilst we're here, if you want to smoke, which maybe some of you do, you have to go outside. So it's down where you came in and just stand outside the door. It's totally cool. And you can buzz to come back in. If you need toilets, toilets are just at the back. Guys are straight ahead, girls are on the right. And yes, and then fire exits I'll talk about in a second. Tonight's agenda is, this is the introduction. After me, Bas will talk about GitHub Actions, which is hopefully really something exciting. I'm pretty excited about it. So that's great. And then we'll have a small break around 8-ish. And then I will do the end of year roundup, and I will do the quiz, which is very exciting. And then after that, there is hi, just grab a seat and it's cool. Yeah. So then after that, there is pizza, because otherwise, yeah, people will be hungry. So there's also snacks and drinks over there. There's beers, wines, water, Coke, all the works, and I'll keep topping up. So that hopefully keeps you fed and watered. So that's that. We do also have a code of conduct, which I read out every month, and it's pretty important. So yeah, DigitalOcean is dedicated to providing a harassment-free event for everyone, regardless of gender, gender identity and expression, age, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, body size, race, ethnicity, religion, or lack thereof, or technological choices. There is a really long version that is on the meetup page, but essentially it boils down to, if you're nice to each other, then everything will be fine. You know, if you treat people how you want to be treated, then it's cool. And yeah, we also have, you know, just a nice evening. this also says like what happens if you have an issue, and that usually involves talking to me or Hugo or anyone from the YM team, which are just over there, Valerie as well, or send me a message, and I'll give you all the details later. If there is an emergency, which I hope there isn't, because otherwise the raffle will go to pot. Then yes, there, as I say, the fire exit, there's one that way, and you go down the stairs, or there's back where you came, you go down the stairs, and we all meet at the bridge over there, and you can take a beer, and we can all chat, and it's fine. It's a bit chilly, but it's not raining, so that's good. But yeah, be outside, not inside. That's good. Also, if you hurt yourself in any way, come and find one of us. We probably have plasters or like some sort of paracetamol or something. We'll, we won't let you die. So that's good. So yeah, let us know. Yeah, there's a few people that make this possible. First off is DigitalOcean. It's their meetup. I run it on their behalf. I actually don't work for them. Yeah, if you don't know who DigitalOcean is, they effectively do servers. So they make servers super easy. They have a really nice API that goes on the front of it and a nice user interface. So you're like, oh, I'd like to have a website. Great, put it on the API or through the interface, and there we go, a server on the internet. Super easy. Because servers are quite hard, and unless you're like a sysadmin person that loves servers, then just give it away and just pay somebody else to do it. Yeah, I actually work for Your Majesty, and this is the Your Majesty office. This is the Your Majesty team. There's a few plus ones there, but generally, yeah, guys and girls, we do web dev, production, and design. We work with people like Doppler. We do stuff with like Samsung, which is cool. And we also do our own internal startups. So this is iTrack, which is the machine learning predictive eye tracking thing, which is cool. We also have helped out with O'Reilly. They do books, if you didn't know. That's some really good books. And they have provided us books. And I think this book is this book in real life. So there we go. So yeah, books in real life. They also do books on the internet. This is their new thing called Safari. And essentially, instead of reading books, you look at them on the internet. You can take them everywhere. It's also kind of cool. Yeah, these guys helped out with like raffle prizes, which you can win later. O'Reilly also do an amazing amount of conferences, like huge conferences. And we also have a discount code. So I don't know if anyone's interested. There it is. And yep. And then that's more or less it. That's my little intro blurb done. I will be back later. If you want to send tweets out to say how much fun you're having, you can do it with the hashtag #BOMeetup, and then I search social media and like it. You can also send tweets to Samantha. Samantha is she's the person in charge of international meetups for DigitalOcean, and she also has an email because she's on the internet. Which is samantha@digitalocean.com. She's the person that you can send if you have an issue. So if you want to escalate it higher than me, you send her a message and say, this happened, please fix it. And she'll sort it out. So yeah, that's about it. Does anybody have any questions so far? No, good stuff. Okay, right, I will hand over the floor to Bas. He is from GitHub, and he's spoken before, and literally this time last year. So yeah, I wanted to find out stuff about GitHub Actions because that sounds pretty exciting. And I know a guy at GitHub, so I invited him back. And yeah, hopefully we can talk. So that's good.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Do you want to plug in?
Can you all hear me? Is this fine? Can I do without microphone or? It's okay. Yeah. You sure? Okay.
Thank you for all being here. Yeah, I was here last year at the same, so at the Christmas meetup event with the raffle, talking about inner source. And tonight I'll be talking about GitHub Actions. So that is a new feature we're planning to ship. It's currently in a private beta. People can sign up for it. I'll show you the URL later. So it's about open source workflow automation. So it's a way to automate your workflow so you can build your own tasks and run them on the GitHub infrastructure. So my name is Bas Peters. I'm a solutions engineer at GitHub. So we work a lot direct with customers. So we support customers both in pre-sales, so customers that have an interest in adopting GitHub at work. But we also do a lot of post-sales work. So when we have existing customers, I mean, GitHub is continuously kind of changing. So we ship features all the time. And so we keep customers up to date. So we regularly visit a lot of our customers and help them also to improve their development workflows, for example. So a lot of developers are familiar with GitHub, but I just want to make sure. So are there people who are not familiar with GitHub? So do I need to talk a little bit about what GitHub is, or can you raise your hand if you're not sure you know what GitHub is? So everyone is familiar. Okay, that's great. So I won't do an introduction then. So then I'll start with something else, and this is the cloud native landscape. Is anyone familiar with this one? And so maybe this started our discussions on providing something like GitHub Actions, so providing a way to automate workflows on the GitHub platform. Because the whole initiative, the cloud native landscape, its objective was to help you to navigate this growing landscape of tooling that is available in the cloud. So whether it's on like infrastructure automation, CI/CD, cloud environments, container runtimes. And this landscape, a lot of people now call like the healthscape. I can tell you, if you're in marketing, it's even worse. They have a similar thing, and that is like, take this and then multiply by 10 times. And then it's like, I don't know if you people remember like this, the Million Pixel homepage, I think it was called, by an Australian guy. He sold like every pixel. So that looks more like that. But we were thinking like, this is not really helping you to navigate. So we had this thought like, if we could bring these tools on the GitHub platform, and maybe that can help you to navigate this landscape by picking tools that are available on the GitHub platform and that can help you to automate your workflows. So we introduced this at our last GitHub Universe. So that is our annual conference that is held in October in San Francisco, where GitHub has its headquarters. And within the first 24 hours, we had like 32,000 signups for the beta. And I think now we have around over 50,000 people on the beta. So, and that for GitHub, I mean, GitHub is a large platform, and we have a developer community of 33 million people. But for us, this was really a surprise that there was, immediately so much interest in GitHub Actions, in giving it a try. Also, there was instantly a lot of press coverage, articles in Wired and other platforms around GitHub Actions, and a lot of people started tweeting about it. And so the first question is, a lot of people ask is, is GitHub now entering the CI/CD space? So are we going to provide continuous integration on the GitHub platform? And Actions, and I'll show it shortly, it's way more than that. So Actions is not really meant to just be a tool that allows you to kind of maybe build, compile, test, and deploy your code, because they're containers all the way down. So you can do pretty much anything with them. But more importantly, Actions respond to triggers, to events, and there's much more in events happening on GitHub than just a push event for code changes. I'll talk a bit more like that. So you could say that for us, Actions maybe is more like an if this, then that kind of service on the GitHub platform. So I don't know, maybe most of you are familiar with if this, then that, but it's a service that allows you to just you can run an action, I don't know, posting a photo to Twitter or something based on some specific trigger. Like, I don't know, someone, you put a photo on Instagram or something, and then if that happens, it will also post it on Twitter. So there's a trigger, and then there's an action that responds to that trigger. So, for example, on like repo public events, you can make sure that your project has a license file. So you can say, oh, we're doing a lot of open source projects, and we want everyone that is, creating a new open source project, we want to ensure that our community that creates new repos within our organization always apply a license file. And although on GitHub, when you create a repo, we sort of kind of recommend that you add a license file for a public project, it's not something we enforce, but it could be a policy in your organization that you enforce. So you could create an action that whenever someone creates a repo and it's a public repo, that you gently ask them to add a license file, or maybe apply the license file automatically based on your company's open source license. Or on a release event, you can package up your release notes and you can send them. You can send them by an email, or you can send an SMS message, something like that. Or a member event. So on GitHub, we maintain a large community of open source contributors. So if someone joins an organization, you can, for example, automatically create a welcoming issue, or you can create an onboarding guide even with a whole ramp-up plan. A push event, so that is more traditional, where CI/CD is used. So you can do a build or test, of course, but you can also do deploys, or maybe move a container to a container registry. On a pull request merge, and that is also an action that someone already built, is like, I don't know if you use GitHub, but if you merge your pull request, so GitHub will not automatically delete your branch. So that's your server-side branch. It's your decision. Although there's a large button appearing after a merge for delete the branch, it's not something that is enforced or anything. You can keep the branch if you want to. But if it's a policy within your organization that branches shall be deleted after a merge, then you can write an action that actually does that. And another example is, if someone opens an issue, triage it. So either apply labels or something, a specific label. If we have time, I have an example doing this, where we trained, we use the LUIS, but you can also use Recast, for example. You can train it with issue titles, and then if it's a bug, you can apply a bug label, or if it's an enhancement request, you can apply an enhancement label. So you can do things like that. So its purpose goes beyond just doing CI/CD kind of things. So these are a couple of examples of actions that are already built. So you can deploy to the most known cloud providers. So Heroku, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. They're all supported already. And we've been working with them also in preparing the release of actions in order to make sure that you can easily deploy from GitHub to these cloud vendors. Twilio and SendGrid, so you can send notifications, messages, and emails. There's also, I don't know, who is familiar with Flick, the Flick button? Anyone? Yeah? Have you used it, or have you been programming?
I had one, but I've never really used it. I have it in my drawer still.
Okay, can I have it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I would love to have one, and I was just too cheap to buy one so far. They're like 30 euros or something. But no, it's at Universe they were giving them away, and people love them. I mean, it's like an IoT button, and it's programmable. So yeah, and they have built a GitHub action that allows you to execute tasks. I don't know, do anything. You click the button and it will execute some action. Terraform is another interesting example. They immediately build a whole they have this validation suite and they build it into GitHub Actions. So if you're working with Terraform files, so like infrastructure as code, they can help you to kind of improve your workflows and improve the quality of your Terraform scripts. update Docker Hub, and another one is deployment with launch darkly. So that is like a feature toggle solution. So it allows you to kind of dark ship stuff until it's like ready for release, and then you can release it. So it provides the capability of using feature toggles. I think it can do more. I haven't really looked into it, but so maybe by now you're thinking, okay, nice, fun, but how does it work? So I just wanted to run you through a demo. I was like, to be honest, I was super lazy, so I just pre-recorded this stuff, and we're going through the recording. I've been traveling so much, I was a bit tired, but so let's just create a workflow. So what we'll do in this demo, we just have an example, a very basic like hello world npm, so JavaScript project. And we're going to build a workflow in that. So we're going to do like a compile and test. And then I'll walk you through some of the other features that the GitHub Workflows provides. So let's just go for it. So this is the project. And the first step is that we can go to Actions. So those who signed up for the beta can, and then you can create a new workflow. So it's configuration as code. So there's just a file in a .github called main workflow, and we provided like a UI. So you can either configure the source file, so you can edit new file there. You can configure the source. So if you like to write HCL files, you can do that. That is the language that we use. And then you can see a list of available actions. But you can also provide a path, and I'll talk a bit more later about exactly what kind of things are available, so what you can use as container sources. So this is like something that is available on GitHub, npm, so we start with just an install. So we just add the argument it needs to run is npm install, and then done. So that is our first step, and then we add another step where we provide a test. There's one thing, and you can reference, so this references a specific commit. You can reference master or a specific branch. So if you want to experiment with new features, you can also test them by creating these workflows and refer to something else than just a master. So this one is the test phase. And so runs would be like npm, but that is already pre-baked into the action, and the arguments is any additional arguments that you provide. We also use a secret. You can use secrets, so I'll talk a bit more also about that. And herewith we're done. We have a very basic. So we commit it as a pull request. So creating actions allows you to run through the GitHub flow. So you can just test them until they are approved, and then you can merge them in, and they become available to all your developers in the team to be used in their workflows. So we just create a pull request. And now we're done, so we should now see the action executing. There's not a lot of interesting stuff happening right now because we just have, like, of course, a perfect production project. We started with master, so it's all production ready code that should not break. So one feedback we get is that, and something we will definitely focus on once this becomes general available, is really performance. So in my experience, it's for some kind of integrations, I think we really need to focus on finding ways of improving the performance. I think for continuous integration kind of stuff, it's fine, but and then so we'll go back and we'll add a new workflow. So you can have multiple workflows. So it's so we started with a workflow that's doing a compile and test. And now we're going to introduce one of my favorites. This is a really amazing action. So on a pull request, and the workflow itself it's on a pull request. When it fails, so when there's a status in the pull request that fails, it will provide us with a very interesting notification. And so in this case, we're just referencing someone else's action. So it's not in the actions like standard list. But it's Jess, one of our colleagues, she created this action. So we can just reference using a standard like repo, so owner repo combination, and then also the branch if needed, so a specific branch. So we now have two workflows. So you can have multiple workflows that also can run in parallel, but the event that you use, so whether it's push or pull request, that will of course determine whether you run things in parallel or not. Okay, so now we have three statuses. So we have the compile and test, and we have the shaking finger action. And we are going to merge this into master. This is like super hardened already. We just delete the branch. And the next step is, let's see what happens when we break the build. So we just go to the test file. So in this case, we just break the test in terms of super laziness. We're not building a feature that breaks, but we just break the test, which is hard with Scrabble. It's a Scrabble thing. And create a new branch. So break build. I break them all the time, so I break the build again. And then create a pull request and see what's happening. So this is a push event and a pull request event. So we expect the workflow to execute, or both workflows to execute. So we can see here the three statuses. So for the two workflows, so the install test and the shaking finger, and will be running. So we can see the test failing now because we broke it, and we get the shaking finger. Woohoo! I love this one. It's so, I don't know, just great sense of humor. So this is just an example, of how. So that can be really also fun to work with. I really enjoy playing around with actions. You can do really crazy stuff with it. So yeah, we can see so you can go into the checks API. So GitHub provides an API for continuous integration. So it's implemented by more and more continuous integration partners that we have, like Travis, for example, and Circle. So the checks API allows you to go through log files without having to go into this continuous integration server. So the next step is fixing the build. And then hopefully we won't have the shaking finger anymore. And so you can all code it on the GitHub platform. You can test it using GitHub Flow. So it's all seamlessly integrated in GitHub as a platform. And then there is, of course, the whole, we use JazzFresh, her action, but you can basically pick any action that is already available, or you can build your own. We'll go into that a bit later. So now all checks passed, so I had to refresh the page in order to get rid of the shaking finger, and now we're all fine. So let's just merge this in. We're super happy with the results. Some great new code. We're shipping value. And so let's just quick recap, look at the workflows that we've built. So there's one other step that I include. So I almost forgot about that. It's like you can run also, so this is a workflow with multiple actions. So the install is one action. And you can also run parallel workflows. And one of the things you can do, you can just, you can just reference a Docker image. So on Docker Hub, you can just do Docker and then pick one Docker container, and it will just, put it down and run any command. So in this case, we just run an ls-la. So nothing really, useful. But it shows you that you can basically also execute actions in parallel. And I'll have an example later that is doing a lot more. It's like, deploying to many different cloud environments. So using kind of a hybrid cloud approach. So create a new branch for the updates. Apparently there was already a branch. It's a problem when you redo stuff without cleaning up after yourself. So I should have installed the action that deletes the branches. So the list, it is quick though, the list files is the first to complete. So then through the details, it brings you into the checks API, and that allows you to kind of view your log file. So you can do debugging from there. In this case, it just lists the files. So basically, the runtime contains your projects. So there's a lot of resources on the runtime that you can just use within your action. So I'll just merge it in. And so now we end up with, so we have two workflows now, the shaking finger one, and then we have this new workflow that provides our NPM stuff with the parallel task. And you can also follow them there in the, so without editing, you just have a view and you can basically view the progress. So as I merge it in, it's again doing a push event, so it triggers the workflow. And there's also a PR merge here. It won't do anything, the shaking finger will not bother us anymore, but because there's no fail. So that is a very quick kind of overview of like creating a workflow. And later we will look into creating an action. So what does it take to create an action? So there's a few things here. So one is, so the workflows are configured as code. As I said, we use the HCL language. So that's the language that it's like a domain language built by HashiCorp that is used also for Terraform, for example. It's a very simple to understand and easy to read language. So that is the language that we use as a domain language for workflows. And as you could see, you can run a sequence of actions in a workflow, or you can also run in parallel. So you have both options. Also, and I'll show you later, so you can run public actions. So one of our objectives, of course, is to grow a community of that builds actions. So a lot of tool vendors we expect to build actions. So they provide their tools as actions on the GitHub platform that you can just bring into your workflows to automate parts of it. But you can also have private actions. So you can, and we will do that later in the demo, you can create an action that you just want to use within your own project. So that's doing something really specific that might not have any value for the community, and you can just keep it in your repo. And as we saw, so the workflows consist of workflow blocks. So you can have multiple workflows. They all reside in a single file. There's this main workflow file, and you put all your workflows there. So currently there's no way of kind of like, kind of importing other workflows into that file or anything. So on the action level, you can bring in everything from the GitHub platform or from a Docker container. But the workflows all live in a single workflow file. And so there's a few, you could say, like current limitations to workflow. So each workflow can run up to 58, I don't know why it's 58 minutes, but it's like close to an hour. So that is like a limit. So if you have builds that will take 2 or 3 hours, for example, we have a lot of customers that build embedded software. And for example, in robotics or something, they have like sometimes hundreds of configurations, and they just run forever, these builds. They run like 4 hours easily. So don't use actions for that. It's not going to work. For every workflow can have up to 100 actions right now. It's quite a lot. I think already you can do quite a lot of stuff with it. I've seen a workflow, I think it was a project, I can't remember the name of it, that had like way more. It was like incredible how complex that workflow was. It's a software that is supported on so many different platforms and configurations that they have more than that. But generally, I think you'll be fine. So, and 2 workflows can be running concurrently per repository. So if you have more, then they will run in sequence. And you cannot kind of you cannot have like nested in the sense that you cannot kind of reference another action from one action. So that maybe is something to be mindful of. And then, so every workflow consists of action blocks. So like I said, you can have like 100 of these blocks. And so this is like a source example. So this is like an HCL written workflow. So we mainly look now in the demo at the user interface. But if you feel more comfortable in just writing these files by scratch, in an editor, you can do so. It's a very simple syntax that we use. So I think, you know, if you have done 2 or 3, you'll be familiar with the whole structure of it, the syntax of it. So every action has kind of an ID, so that's kind of the label, and then the on is the event, so it's like push or a pull request or issues, and then it resolves. It can resolve multiple, so that is like the actions it finally resolves. But actions can have dependencies, so they can need other actions. So that is the way how you can kind of provide a sequence, a chain. So let's say there's you know, a compile, build, package, test, deploy. You can put them all in sequence and make them dependent on each other. And then on the workflow file, you say it resolves the deploy, the final step, and the other steps are the train that leads to a deployment. And then uses is the reference to a container. It can be an action that resides somewhere on GitHub. It can be an action that you've built on your project, the private action in your .github folder. It can also be just a Docker image that you just use. So you can just repurpose a general purpose Docker image from Docker Hub, and you can just use that. So you can apply a runs command like I did with the ls-a you know, that was just using a general Alpine Docker image, nothing specific. You can use any language. So basically, you know, as long as it's something that can be executed in a container, you can do it. So if you feel more familiar with writing like Python code or PowerShell or Ruby or JavaScript, Shell, Bash, anything you can just use. Some languages might perform better than others, but in general, use, you know, the tools and languages you're comfortable with to create your actions. And you see a lot of them kind of wrapping a CLI. So a lot of the actions you see now out, like the NPM one, it's just a wrapper around the NPM CLI. So it's not a complex at all. And so it's important, this is where actions go way beyond just providing like CI/CD capabilities, because they're triggered by events. And we've seen a few already, but there's like 26 events that you can use. So this gives actions a capability that really, I mean, it goes beyond our imagination. You know, it's just up to the community about what kind of actions you think are useful within your workflows. Just create it and share it on GitHub, and maybe other people start using it, and maybe also start helping out in, you know, like hardening or adding features to it or anything. It's up to you. Like I said, they're executed as containers. So let me just give you an example. So basically, this is, I took away some lines of code, like some metadata, some label stuff that is kind of recommended to do in the Docker file. So in order to expose actions on the GitHub UI, there is a couple of metadata labels that that you should add. But basically, this is all it takes to create an npm CLI wrapper that runs as a GitHub action. So there's a Docker file that brings in a node container. And then it's just a matter of like, it copies the entry points from your project, from the projects into the container and executes it. And the entry point is nothing more than just a shell execution of npm, and it brings in any arguments that you will add in your, like I did install and test in the npm, in the user interface. So when I execute this, let's say on a push event, it will just do npm, and then it will bring in my args from the action, like test or install, and it will execute. So it's quite simple. This is like 6 lines of code, and it's very simple code. It's nothing. I mean, other actions you can do. You can make it way more complicated. I have one example. I don't know if we have time for that. That is a bit more complicated, but if you just need to wrap some CLI, I did the same thing. I'll show that later if we have time. Let's go move on. This is currently what you have as runtime resources. So if you really have, if you need to scale out beyond this, you should use maybe a CI solution, or build a GitHub app. That's another possibility where you have maybe more control. This also, it might change. It depends, because we're really figuring out, what are people going to do with these actions, so what kind of needs are there in the community. But this is the current runtime resources. I think a really important part is it's up to you to build them. Of course, we will provide, as GitHub, we will also create actions, and we started doing that already. And we're sharing them in github.com/actions. So that is an organization that we use to share action repositories. But the idea is that you as a community on GitHub create actions as public repositories and share them with the community. And we run them. So how am I time-wise? Will you?
10, 12 minutes.
Okay. So I have another demo where we will create an action. So let's look at how this is done. So we first looked in a demo like how to create a workflow where we used existing actions. We brought them into our project and we brought a container in. So let's look at creating one. So we started by creating a new file. And we can add a path.github. So that is where the actions live. And then we create Maven. So we are going to create a Maven CLI. So we want to run some Java stuff. So we just bring in Maven and we add an entry point. That's all it takes for the Docker file. We create a pull request for this. So add action, add Maven, or whatever, add workflow. So that is kind of the first step. So we need a runtime environment. So this defines our runtime. And the next step is we need to execute. We need to run the command. So we're going to add a file for that. So we just go to the branch. And of course you can do this. I mean, normally you would do it from your editor, I think, unless you want to use the visual editor to build the workflow. But for the action, I think generally you will just code it locally and then push it. But I just used GitHub to create it this time. So the entry point is quite simple. It's similar to what we've seen already with NPM. We have a Maven, so we have a Maven container, and we just run Maven, and then you provide any arguments in your visual editor or anything when you create the workflow itself. And now we're going to add a workflow. So we create a main workflow file because we want to try it out. And this is a private repository, so this is kind of a private action, although, a wrapper around Maven might be useful for other people, so it might make sense maybe to also share it with the community. So we're now in the visual editor that you've seen before, and we just create a new workflow where we will use our action. So the one in .github/Maven. So we go to the root of our project, we go to the .github folder and then to Maven folder, and that is the reference to our action. We could have added also a specific branch. And then I just run a compile. So I run Maven compile. Now one thing I should have done here is -b because this is pretty verbose when it runs. Maven is terrible in that, but okay. I forgot to do that. So again, I'll fix that typo. So we bring in the Maven action and then provided a proper label, test, and we just run Maven test. And done. So this is a very simple workflow, just 2 steps. I think we could have done it easily with the Maven lifecycle in one go, but. And then I add this directly to this to the branch. So both the action now and the workflow live in the same branch, so it should execute. So let's check whether they run. They do. Perfect. Now, and if there's one thing we're interested in, of course, is what happens if we break the build. So we just are super happy with this. We bring it to production, delete the branch, and start working, start coding real stuff again, bring value to our customers. So we have our projects, and again, we're doing something similar as the last time with NPM. We just break the test. Too lazy to build code that breaks it. We just do assert true or false and break the build. So now it should fail the test. So compile is fine. It does compile. But test should fail. And from there again, we can go into the checks API, so we can immediately kind of start debugging. So go into the, here you can see that I should have included a -b. For those who have used Maven, I think they will recognize it. It's producing so much output otherwise. And there we see that our test failed. So we now have to fix it. Okay, so I said it's built by you and run by us. So actions are really built and maintained by the community, and I think that is the other. So beyond actions being a way of, you know, responding to a lot of different events, like 26 different events on GitHub, so you can build all sorts of things beyond just doing like CI kind of things. I think the other important part of actions is that it's like it can unleash a new open source kind of community that builds and shares these actions. And I think in that respect, GitHub is really like, it's a community of people that build software together, but GitHub is also like, you can also see it as a network, because I think none of you who are programmers have projects that do not include, you know, open source libraries. We use open source libraries in all our projects. We have dependencies in all our projects, and a lot of these dependencies, not all, but a lot of dependencies are built and maintained on the GitHub platform. And so it can sometimes help if you're working on that platform. You know, you can just go into those projects. If you're stuck, you could just go on, you know, go to the GitHub platform, and you can find the project, and you can find if it's already a known bug or otherwise, and maybe you can provide some additional input to the project, to the issue that already is there, or you can raise an issue. Ideally, of course, you just fix it, right? And you open a pull request against the project. You start contributing. And this way, there's these millions of developers that use the GitHub platform. They all help, you all help in order to build better software and make sure that we have, you know, can securely use all these open source projects. And so we hope a similar thing will happen with actions, that people will start building out these actions as community efforts, and then that we can all use them within our workflows. So that's also why it's really important that every action shall have like a README file. So similar to an open source project, right? If you create a project and you share it with the community, it's really important that you provide some context. Like, what is the objective of your project? How can people install and use it? I think that is key. So the README file for every project is like the welcome mat to your project, right? It's also a way of like bringing the community to your project. So, you know, getting help for your projects. And that is the same for action. So if you create an action, so if you have ideas, you create an action, then make sure to provide a decent README file for other people to easily understand what the objective of your action is, and also to be able to kind of use it. So understand what environment variables are needed, what secrets, for example, do I need. So this is another example. I just wanted to show this as a more complex example. So you can build a more complex workflow. So this is doing a lot of, so you can see it running, and it's doing a lot of deploys to all sorts of different cloud platforms. So it's going like to AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Heroku, using different technologies. So this is just an example that you can build more complex workflows on GitHub. So you can sign up for the beta. We have a lot of interest, so it might take a little while before you're accepted. So we take batches, and I think we're still a bit behind, to be honest. But on GitHub.com features actions, you can sign up for the beta. So there's like a big blue button you can click and sign up for it and give it a spin. I think so far they will be bound to your personal, your personal profile, so your handle. So their personal, they will appear in your personal projects. And to use an action in your project, you need to create a private repo. So to create an action, you're encouraged to do that as a public project, but because we are running a private beta, so the actions run on your private projects. For us, this is really also a new usage of the GitHub platform. So it's something we just first needed an understanding of what are people actually going to do with these actions, and in what kind of, I mean, and will people use it for Bitcoin mining or whatever? Will people also abuse it? So for us, it's really important to get a good understanding about how do people try to abuse it, but especially also how do people want to use this? What do people want to get out of actions? And so by running this private beta, that gives us the insights that allows us to release this as a general available feature on the GitHub platform. There's documentation also. So developer.github.com actions provides a decent documentation. Of course, there's always room for improvement. So if you have any suggestions for improvement, then let us know. But I think for me, it was enough to just get started and start playing around with actions and start using them. And so, yeah, I think do we have some time for questions? We have like a few minutes left. Yeah? Okay, wonderful. Because I had another demo, but I skipped it. But that was more doing the triage issues and looked at a more complex action, but maybe we should spend the time maybe taking some questions. Also, if you, after this session, so after this evening, if you do have questions, always free to reach out. Just send me an email at bas@github.com if you have any questions or anything. It might sometimes take a little while before I respond, but most of the time I'm quite fast responding. Anyone? Yeah? Go ahead, please. You have a question.
Okay, pricing.
Pricing. Okay, so the question is,
important, yeah.
most important, what is the pricing? I do not have pricing right now. Okay. So I think it will be very reasonable, but I haven't even seen the pricing so far. So yeah.
But it's going to be, of course. Right?
Sorry?
It's going to be, of course.
They're going to be, yeah, there is, I don't know where the threshold will be, so whether there will maybe be for public projects, some, I don't know, hopefully early next year we will be able to release this, make it general available, and that we can only do, of course, by making clear also what if there is a cost and what the cost will be.
You've mentioned that all actions have remote network access by default. So is there any way to prevent actions that are running on my private repository from actually reaching into the remote networks? Because, for example, mention the scenario when very popular action is overtaken by an attacker.
Yeah.
And the code is modified so it basically exfiltrates the current state of a repository.
Yeah.
Because remote network access is the only window into the world, so each time there is a commit, it will basically copy all of your secret source code
and push it to the public. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's very hard to actually analyze the code of each commit for each action and so on, and just global switch that basically prevents anything from leaving your containers that are running on your private repository would be helpful.
Yeah.
Is it possible, or will it be possible?
Yeah, I think there will. So currently, one of the focus points is providing. It's really also around, and that's one of the purposes also of the private beta. Is like what's, how do people abuse actions? So also kind of fixing holes like this. So I think it's a really good point. I can ask the product team and get feedback if you leave your email address or anything, or send me an email. I'm happy to respond to that. To what extent? How are we going to kind of making sure that your actions will run in that container and stay in that container, and not kind of start shipping, like, you know, just copying folders out, doing a remote copy of all of this, you know, pick the source code tree and then just remote copy it to some other environment. Yeah. I should have spent a bit more time also preparing this presentation and looking to these issues, because I'm not sure to what extent you can go to the outside world. I haven't checked that, to be honest. Good point. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you, I guess, from the shaking finger example, if you get some information about like the status of the attached or other actions or the Git status, because it's just running inside a container, do you get in that container like some information about?
Yeah, of course, that's a good point. I should have talked a bit more about it. That was in the. So what it will do is when you run an action, so there's the runtime environment, and then it will put your project. So your project will be available. So it will be copied into the runtime environment. So the source code is available, and then it will also put the payload into your runtime environment. And so the payload is like it's the JSON file with all the event details. So for example, if you look at the shaking finger example, it will check for the pull. So it checks, so the event is a pull request, but it will check whether the pull request is opened or synchronized. So it will check the actual action. So there's an event, and an event has actions like issues opened, issues closed. And then there's other things like, for example, one thing I built is I recently did like a SonicCube action. I just wanted to make sure, see how much effort it would be to just run SonicCube. And there you need like if you want to do pull request decoration, you need the pull request number, for example. So if you have a pull request event, then you can easily. So I just mostly just use, like in Bash, I just read with JQ. You just read out. From the payload file, you can get all these values and then use them into your action. Yeah.
Thanks.
All the way in the back is a question, yeah?
Were there any surprising or unexpected workflows that you discovered about beta testing?
Well, I haven't read through all the. So the question is, were there any unexpected things happening during beta testing? So. I do not have full details. I haven't examined the exact cases that but there's definitely, I've read, there is some work to be doing. People are working on, for example, making sure that people are not going to do Bitcoin mining and stuff. So the team is currently still working on hardening kind of actions to make sure that there's, to limit the abuse of them. And of course, I mean, we're all, we're developers, so we will try, right? We will just, people will try to see how far can I stretch this? Definitely, and that it's also something we do ourselves.
Right, I'm going to jump in. Yeah, thank you so much for your talk. You'll be glad to know Bitcoin mining isn't very profitable at the moment. So yeah,
no, I would say no one wants to do it right now.
It's not very good. But yes, thank you for doing your talk. We're now going to go for like a short break. I'm going to grab some more beers, and then I will do the quiz. So I'll give you a shout. 5-10 minutes maybe. And yes, thank you so much. And,
meer allerlei verschillende dingen. Ik weet niet, sommige afdelingen het zijn ook dan uit te zoeken omdat jullie er eigenlijk leven weten. Dus het is wel lastig. Ja, we moeten wel sales in de buitenland. Ja, nee, maar ik moet zeggen dat ik maar dat ja, met die meetup dan.
That's fine. Right then. Okay, so we're gonna start with the second half, which is my bit. The plan of action, it's already like 20 past 8, 23 minutes past, and the pizza's due to turn up about 8:45. Domino's is like notoriously early, so it might turn up anywhere between 2:30 and 2:45. So if the pizza will probably turn up then, so we'll probably do a few and then have a break, and then we'll throw pizzas all over there, and then come back to sit and do the rest of the quiz. That's hopefully good with everyone. Yeah, otherwise you'll starve and you have like nice pizza smell and you'll never get to eat it. So that's just torture, and I don't want to do that. Yeah, and we also have meaty, vegetarian, vegan, and gluten-free. But yes, right. So this is my half of the meetup. Yeah, my talk, and this is a roundup of the year. It's been a pretty good year. This is my second year of doing it, and yes, I talked through the background through the first bit, so hopefully you remember. We do this every month, roughly, and sometimes we do twice a month, like in October, and we do lots of tech cool things, and we've had some really cool speakers, which is really nice. 2018 looks something like this, so we've grown to like over 2,000 people in our group, which is roughly double, which is really great. I've hosted 9 meetups this year, with roughly 15, or I think it might be 16 with Bas involved, which covers 8 topics and roughly 452 people, not including tonight, so maybe that's close to 500 or 600. We currently have 17.3 hours of content on YouTube, which is just this year. That's on top of last year. And we smashed through 189 pizzas, which equates to like something like 2,132 slices. So these are the stats you want to be like listening to. We've smashed through over 1,000 bottles of beer and roughly 250 cans of soft drinks. Yeah. We've done 11 bottles of wine, which Connor's very excited about. He's very selective on his wine choices, and approximately 23 kilograms of M&Ms. So yeah, so that's that. That's 2018. These meetups are made possible thanks to like a few people who really help, and I hope Valerie's disappeared. Where's Valerie about? Valerie's disappeared. I have to go grab her. But first, yeah, Hugo donates his time for more or less every meetup, and he's there doing all the tech stuff, and he starts off beforehand. And I thought I should say thanks to him for generating his time, because he does it out of the love of his heart, and it's much appreciated. So thank you, Hugo. So that's your favorite bourbon, I'm hoping. I need to go and find Valerie. Give me 2 seconds. We're going to bang on stuff. It is a Buffalo Trace.
Oh, that is fantastic. I haven't had that in several weeks.
And then, so Erica has helped me a few times when I needed her, and she's about, so that's really nice. And then Valerie, who is my head of gluten-free, because she is a gluten-free person herself. She's an expert at this. She also has donated like far too much of her time to help check people in and just generally like help me out. And that's also very much appreciated. So I have a present for you as well. It kind of comes in like 3 parts. So here's the first part, the most important part. There we go. That's for you.
Thank you. That's why you were asking.
Is that
I totally didn't
these
get
kind of go
Okay.
with it, like that's the help.
Yes, happy weekend. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's something to mix with it, guys.
Yeah, it's gin.
Thank you.
No worries. So yeah, it's I can't do it without these guys, so I should say thanks. It's also important to thank the people who come to my meetups, because I can throw meetups and nobody turn up, and I'm just wasting my time. So this is like the people who come more than once, and you can come once, and that's totally fine. These people come once, more than once. And so Lee is at the top. He's top 3 in attendance.
Not here today.
Yeah, he's not here. And then there's Eric, and I don't have my speaker notes, which is super annoying. So I can't. It's gonna work. I ruined my presentation. So essentially, it's Lee is at the top. Lee's at the top. And then Eric, who has left the Netherlands, he's gone to work for Apple in Ireland. He's number 2, so he probably won't be there next year. So Ali G, who's number 3, which is this dude. And then a name that I crucified last year in the quiz. And I think it's Bauk. I don't know if he's here. Are you here? Not here. So he didn't come this year because he knew I was going to crucify his name. But yeah, he's come. Connor, who is here, who loves drinking my wine, is number 8. And then Denzel is this dude. And then Elizabeth, who has turned down the Girl Code meetup to be here, which is massively appreciated. So that's really nice. I'm now going to try and put this back into proper speaker mode. There we go. And there we go. So then there's the top 3 people who turned up. And Samir is the 3rd top person, and I know he's here somewhere. There he is, he's hiding. And I actually have something for you guys, because you came the most. So I have a little tiny boss, if you want to come up and come and get it. Like, I'll be really nice. Thank you so much. I've lost my speaker deck. It's gone weird. Come back. No, lost it. Come back. You go touch the HDMI cable. It's coming. It's coming. Come on.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Oh no, lost again.
No. Okay. This is the problem. The only problem with the live stream is it does it's a bit touch and go. So sometimes it doesn't always work and it breaks things. And it's amazing how cables just die on us, and that's really not helpful at all. But yes. So whilst Hugo's panicking, that's fine. So the next person, although you cannot see it, and I now can't see it either, next person is Andreas. Now, Andreas won the quiz last year, and he's not allowed to win the quiz this year, because that's not fair for anyone. But he can have a teeny tiny little bottle of Kava. And says thank you. So, thank you so much for coming. Thank you. We're back. Right, so that's what Andreas looks like. And then the person that came most to my meetups this year is a guy called Edwin, and he lives just around the corner from me. We bump into each other in the supermarket occasionally. This guy, I think you've been to 16 out of 22 of my meetups, something like that. So you get the same bottle of little Karma. So thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, those are the people that make it happen, and I'm super grateful for everyone who turns up. Even if you turn up once or you turn up every time, it's much appreciated. So thank you. So now is the bit you've been waiting for, which is very exciting. It's half past 8. So yeah, we'll probably do a few of these and then have a break and then come back. So the quiz. This quiz, I made the quiz, and as far as I'm aware, no one else has seen it, so that's good. It covers core concepts, like stuff that's been in the meetups. Like if you've come, you'll have seen this. I don't know if you remember it, but it's there. There's like general stuff, true, false. There may be number questions. There's also some Christmas questions snuck in there because it's kind of close. As I say, the rules and regulations are that I'm always right, which is the one and only time I'll say that. Andreas is not allowed to win. If he does win, you can choose a thing off the table. You can't win the main prize. And yeah, Lee's not here, so that's fine. And I think Bab's not here. Peter's already here, so okay, that's great. I'm gonna keep going through this bit, and then we'll do a break and then that's fine. Yeah, prizes on offer tonight. Not only do we have like huge table of goodies, this is mainly for the raffle, but DigitalOcean gave us $300 of credit, so that will hopefully get you that should get you through the year. Don't do Bitcoin mining because you're burned through it. You're not allowed to do Bitcoin mining. Yeah, second prize is $150 and third prize is $50, which is still pretty good, you know. To meet up, get $50. That's kind of right. And yes, so it is quiz time, but maybe it's pizza time. Maybe.
Why can't you have some pizza and then do the twist?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's grab a few slices of pizza and then do the quiz, because then you're not dying. And yeah, let's do that. So what we'll do, we'll throw out the pizza on the table and split it by like what it is. And then yeah, it's going to be a bit crowded, but yeah, if you go back to your seat, when you grab a few slices, go back to your seat, and then we will do the quiz, and you can eat and do quiz things. Sound good?
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Okay, let's do that. Okay, everyone's like checking their phones, which is good news. Grabbing our last beer. Okay, right, so we'll start the quiz. And the way the quiz works is you go to kahoot.it and then type in the pin, which is at the top. I think it then asks you what name you'd like to be, and you should enter something that I can't pronounce and that I will destroy because that's fun. Yes, and then there are multiple choice questions, so you don't have to think too hard. I've tried to make it like a mix of, like, as I say, Christmas questions and then tech questions and generally fun and interesting things. Also not ridiculously hard that everyone's like, I have no idea and I don't care, but also like there's a mix of easy and medium ones. Hopefully you enjoy it. That's cool. When I was thinking about doing this, I was kind of like, what music would you have in the background? So I kind of went through a few. I mean, you can have like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but it's very tense. It's like yeah, for a whole hour it's this. You're like on the edge of your seat. So I was like, oh, I don't think I really want that one. So I mean, there's also like the Jeopardy one, which is, this is kind of fun. I think I might settle with this because it's kind of annoying, and like tonight you'll be like doing this in your sleep. So we might come back to this one. Failing that, there's also like the Family Feud one, which is exciting, but I feel you won't be doing it in your sleep. So if I quite turn this one off and get rid of that one, and then we'll play this one just quietly in the background, like as little background music, something like that, and then yeah, we come back to this one. So that's cool. Yeah, so currently we have 41 people on. Now's a good time. I think you can join any time during the thing. So if you change your mind, that's good. You can do it on a phone or a laptop. Everything's good. So hopefully that works. Yeah. Good stuff. 43 people. Right. Let's give it a start. This is a really terribly cropped image, but yes, this is the quiz, and yes, it's going to go through them really quickly. You have 10 seconds to answer each question. These ones are just like to start off with. It says, how many meetups do we have in September? 1, 2, 3, or 4? And you just hit the right color. And then when everybody answers, it does the little thing like this. And you're like, oh my god, we only have 1. Because it was October that we had 2 in. So it has a little leaderboard, and yeah, so this is the general thing. A poster in front of it. Ah, that doesn't help. Right, okay, cool. Let's do that.
Oh.
Like this, like, otherwise it's not fair. You can't see the answers. Okay. Right, okay, let's get into it. Let me do this test one. So there's a couple more. So there's 2 more test ones just to get into the feel of things, and then it gets serious. Oh, and I can do it with my clicker apparently. So nobody's got any points, and apparently Flip is the top of the leaderboard. So there we go. So in which month did I not host a meetup? So there's June, February, January, or July. .46. There we go. You gotta be quick. You got like 10 seconds. You gotta be like, meh. Yeah, the answer was January, which apparently only 6 people got. Yes, I did do one after Christmas, so that's all good. And then this is the last like trial. Now you should be warmed up by now, and your fingers are ready. So Flip's still at top of the leaderboard. Who is this fella? And he posted in this month's like meetup thing.
Oh God.
Literally came to your inbox, like straight in your inbox. Like this guy. So it's Felix, Bob, Gary, or Casper, and then obviously you have numbers here. So it's actually Felix. Felix, is he here? Are you here? Felix isn't even here. Like, come on. Okay, so now it gets serious. This is where like we're gonna stop larking around. This is where things like start getting serious. So there's the leaderboard. So Hank Steeman, where does he work? Does he work for DigitalOcean? He has a cracking mustache. Does he work for GitHub, Amsterdam Internet Exchange, or Google? Gotta be quick. Okay, so yes, he actually works for Amsterdam Internet Exchange. We had him in to do how the internet works, and yeah, it was a really interesting talk. Next one. There we go. Right, so now we have points. This is now going to get started. So you guys at the top of the table, and you get points for being quick, by the way. So the faster you are, the more points you get. So there's Igor. There's a beautiful 640 times 480. Not Andreas. I feel like that's Andreas with a mustache. Clara, and then Lenny, and then everyone else is below that somewhere. What is the peak input-output of Amsterdam Internet Exchange as of the 21st of February 2018? Is it 35 petabytes per second, 5 terabytes per second, 30 megabytes, or 5 gigabytes per second? Maybe I should have put some more time in this. So you have to be super quick. I'll read them out faster. Please read them out faster. Okay, yes, the answer is 5 terabytes per second, which is actually quite a lot. Like it's yeah, a lot of speed. Yeah, Lenny's at the top. Igor's now 2. We've lost the 640 by 320 guy person. Amirko and Nikart, and then Sudakas. DigitalOcean is an Amsterdam Internet Exchange customer. True or false?
Oh my God, it's the wrong time.
Okay, so that's maybe I should put more time on this. Okay, yeah, so the answer is true. They are a DigitalOcean customer. They are an Amsterdam Exchange customer. So yeah, these are educational questions as well. So you're like, oh, I learned something. Next up, yeah, so Igor is still at the top of the table. Hugo is climbing it. There it is. Dimitri B is near the bottom. In Yap's talk, he said you can have flashing lights in every color as long as they are what? Blue, green, orange, or red? It's important questions. Come on, guys. So back in the age of when the internet was invented. So yeah, the answer is actually red. You could have every color as long as they're red. This is actually in the talk.
It's so confusing.
Yeah. It doesn't help that the red one is actually green. I have no control of that. That's not me. It's not a trick. So yes, apparently Rakesh is the highest climber, up 21 places. So yeah, we're looking good there. Swamp Neil is just right at the bottom, and Hugo's climbing the table. What is this? Simple question. We're up to 1,000 points here. What is this? Is it the internet? Is it a complicated box of flashing lights that makes a warm hum, a router, or a modem? Fata. We really need to put more time. I can't make it slower, like unless I stop it and start again. I mean, I can stop it and start again if you like.
No, it's fine.
No, everyone's fine. Okay, cool. There we go. Well, actually, Renan's first, and Mirko is now second. Hugo is sliding, and it's been a tough round. Apparently, 5 players lost their answer streak of 4. What year was the ARPANET first demoed? Is it 1989, 1974, 2011, or 1969? Got 1 second. Go get in there. Yes, the answer is 1969. This is like the dawn of the internet, like right back there. Lots of people there. One person answered 2011. Apparently, Tina, you are the highest climber up 15 places. Brennan is still at the top though. In which year did the ARPA network switch to TCP? Come on, you gotta know this. There's a rocket ship. 1983, 1987, 1974, or 2014? It's probably not 2014. Just saying. Come on, that one person. I told you it's not 2014. So yes, it's actually 1983. So these are all how the internet works. So yeah, Renan's still at top, up 16 places. Edid is the highest climber here. Looks fairly static at the top. Sujak is, I think, is at the bottom, and Ketan is the new guy. I don't know how you say Shadak. I make this up. Anyway, the .NL TLD was born on the 25th of which year? 1986, 1982, 1994, or 2000? It's actually 1986, not 1994. Renan's still at the top. He's taking it away. Like it's like now almost 2,000 points between him. Peter is up there, and Swapnail is new at number 5. DigitalOcean runs on 2 data centers in Amsterdam. Is this true or false? There you go. The answer is true, guys. 2 data centers. It's 2 AMS 2 and AMS 3. There we go. Look at this. Dimitri V has an answer streak of 3 with a little fire next to him. Renan's still at the top. What is the name of Ebenezer Scrooge's Christmas question from the play Christmas Carol? What's his partner? Is it Bob Cratchit, a guy called Dave, Fred, or Jacob Marley? And this is the Muppets. My mum loves this. You have 20 seconds to answer this. Mum loves this film. She watches it every year. Maybe we should have put 20 seconds on like all of the questions, because then this is nice, because then you can just chill. Yeah, there we go. So the answer is Jacob Marley. Come on, guys. Like, there's an even split. A guy called Dave. Like, come on. Like. And Bob Cratchit is the dude that he helps. He's like Kermit the Frog. Apparently, Swapnail has got 3 in a row, though. He's watched his Muppets Christmas Carol. And 640 by 480 is back in the game. Who is this? Win up to 1,000 points. Who is this? This person. Is it a lady with gloves, Imogen Heap, Ellie Goulding, or Ray Charles? Come on, you should come to the meetup. Like, she came to the meetup. Like, Imogen Heap. She's like huge. It's not Ellie Goulding. I do quite like Ellie Goulding, but she doesn't take much texting. So she is a lady with gloves, though, I guess. Yeah. Nothing too exciting to report. Like, there's now only a 1,000-point lead between first and second place. Rakesh is at the bottom. He's kind of snuck in there. Imogen is famous for a track Hide and Seek, but how many people have watched it on YouTube? Now, I think I actually put the YouTube link in here somewhere. It's gonna work. No, it's not. No, it's not gonna work. Okay. Yeah. Why does it not work? That's super annoying. Yeah, the 30-second timer hasn't even started. But this is what the thing looks like. But it doesn't really help me. Is the timer gonna start? No. Okay. Here we go. Imogen Heap. Did I really? Oh god. How do we turn off the? Oh no! This is like. Okay, forget it. Anyway, Imogen Heap. She did. We've got too many music channels. Anyway, so the answer is actually 23,634,413. So she got quite a few views, and it's actually quite a good track. And it's yeah, it's not 37. Put it that way. Oh, there's a big cross for Renan. He's just got smashed into second place. Up 11 places, Powell is the highest climber. There we go. So it's all heating up at the top. Imogen is building a blockchain project, but what is it called? Is it Imogen Coin, Musical Passport, Mycella, or Hide and Seek with little like underdashes? So it's actually mycelia. It is kind of it's like a musical passport, but that's not what it's called. It's not Imogen Coin at all. Hugo is on fire with 3 in a row. He snuck into 4th place, and yeah, Dimitri is holding his lead by roughly 100 points. So mycelia is based on which blockchain? Is it Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Bitcoin, or Ripple? Gotta love our Bitcoin questions. Gotta sneak one in there somewhere. There you go. So it's Ethereum. So like most people got that right, which is good. And clearly the people who own Ripple are like, yes, must be Ripple. And yes, it's not Bitcoin Cash. Yeah, Yang is a new face at the bottom, number 5. Dimitri is only 155 points ahead. And 3 players got an answer streak of 4, so that's good news. Christmas is celebrated on the 25th of December, but who is the patron saint for the 26th? Is it Mark, Nicholas, Stephen, or David? He doesn't look anything like this dude. Probably got like a beard or a mustache. You got like 10 seconds to answer this. So. There you go. So it's actually like Stephen. No, it's not David. Like, come on. They're like David's in March. He's miles away, and Nicholas is on the 6th of December. So he's anyway. 6th. There we go. So pretty split. Yeah, not much change at the top there. Although, yeah, there's 700 points between Ren and his smashing it. Anyway, so Pete returned in October to give us a talk on IoT, but which musical instrument did he bring? Was it a DJ mixing deck? He didn't bring anything. Drums or a flute? Yes, it's drums. He did a talk on Internet of Drums. I kind of want him to do an Internet of Flutes, but no, he did definitely bring drums, and he kept falling over them. It's quite funny. Yeah, I'm gonna crucify this. Yashka, maybe, is on a comeback with 3 in a row. Rakesh is down the bottom, and Renan is still ahead, but not by much. So Pete's Internet of Drums uses a MIDI device, but what does a MIDI device stand for? Is it the Musical Instrument Digital Interface? Is it a musical instrument for digital instruments? Multimedia device for digital instruments, or more Instagram different images? It's still 8 seconds. I'm so glad I gave myself more time to read that. Never gonna do that. Okay, so one person thought it was more Instagram different images. Like it was not. It was not. Yes, but it's pretty even split. It is musical instrument digital interface, not multimedia. Yeah, Yang is climbing there. Like, look at this. You are literally like 50-ish points behind, and Hugo's there as well. 640 by 480 is climbing. What hardware did Pete use in his MIDI device? So he built it himself. Was it Raspberry Pi, a MacBook Pro, or Arduino? There's only 3 answers this one. Yeah, it was actually Arduino. Yep, he built it himself and crafted the case and everything. It was actually quite impressive. So that's cool. Still kind of the same, but Renan is getting ahead a bit. In July, we had Nadia talk about UX, but what does UX actually stand for? Is it user experience? I don't know, I'm a developer. User interface or user exchange? Nobody answered the fun one. Okay, yeah, 42 people got user experience, which is good news. There we go. And Connor is at number 5. There he is. Yeah, everyone else is kind of the same. Renan, you're slipping. Come on, you got like there's 2 points between the top players, and Renan, you're down by like roughly 25 points. All to play for at this point. What is the name of this model? It's going to be a computer-based question. Is Agile, blockchain, cross-functional model, or the squad model? Wait, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. It's actually the cross-functional model. This was in the user experience talk. It's kind of part of Agile, but that's not what it's called. Okay, the shark. It's all changed at the top. Look at this. The shark has smashed it. PJ, who is somebody completely new, and Renan, you're like down the bottom. What's going on? You just lost it. It's downhill from here. Clearly not a UX person. How many points does a snowflake have? Come on, these are important, the questions. Here we go. That's a snowflake. Is it 6, 19, 400 plus, or 12? Christmas questions. We got like, yeah, this is what. There we go. It's 6. 6. This is according to a Christmas quiz website that I might have stolen from last night. Okay. There we go. The shark is on top. We got new faces. Markanye, who I cannot pronounce. There we go. Connor is still up there. Marike, maybe? Back in October, we had a Frontier special, but what country did Martin fly in from? There is Martin. Is it Switzerland, Spain, Austria, or Germany? There we go. It was Switzerland, guys. He's from Germany, but he lives in Switzerland. There we go. Denzel with a cross on his face. I don't know what that means. Denzel has got a cross, and he's like come in there and stolen off the shark. We've lost our old leaders altogether now. It's all new faces. What animal did Martin use for his demos? There's a YouTube link that I'll play later. Is it scuttlers, kittens, birds, or doggos? And that's a deer.
Why?
Because it was an animal that I couldn't know. It was just like, there we go. So it's doggos, and I'm really hoping for everyone else who didn't care it was doggos, we can do this and go into another browser, and that music's going to be really annoying, but hopefully you'll be able to hear it. No, forget it. Hang on, 2 seconds. I've lost the browser tab. Okay, you're really annoying. There we go. Okay. Now I've lost my other thing as well. Doggo break. There it is. Right. This is the reference.
A big old puppy, that's actually a doggo. Not to be confused with a big old doggo, because that's a woofer. But if it's just a small woofer, then it's actually a doggo. And do not pet a snip-snap doggo. Sometimes a pupper is a real small pupper, and that's a yapper. But then it goes up to be a big old yapper, and that's a pupper. Now, a big old woofer is no longer a woofer, it's a floofer. If it eats a humans, then it's a groofer. Stay away. A floofer won't eat humans. A small floofer is just a woofer. Duh. There are many, many doggo species, like common doggo, also known as doge. Special doggo is rare and very special. Other doggos could be a ripper, or a corgo, or a shoe, or a long doggo, or a puggo, or a party puggo. Others do things. A doggo in the water is an aqua doggo. A woofer in the water is a subwoofer. Lots of vorpal snarl makes for a heckin' angry woofer. A doggo in a costume is bamboozled. Sometimes they're doing me a fright. This is Trash Boy. This is doggos making puppies. This is a very fast doggo running at incredible high speed. Diagramming doggos and anything else with Lucidchart.
We're not affiliated to Lucidchart in any way, but they have fun memes. So there we go. So that's where that question comes from, and that is the premise of Martin's talk. So we go back to having that on, and then we go back to the quiz. So there we go. There we go. So this is the it's going to be in your head all night evening. Okay.
The last 10 you should put all the other ones.
Yes. So it's like very tense, the last 10, so it's still to play for. That's a very good point. Okay, yeah, Denzel is still ahead. He's, oh geez, it's like 13 points. This is milliseconds we're talking about. Yeah, and then everyone else is kind of below that. So can Google read my JavaScripts? Is this true or false? There's an image of Google. Can they do that? This is in the SEO talk. Yes, they can read your JavaScripts. It's, yeah, lots of people have JavaScript, so it's important that Google knows how to read it, because otherwise they're like, oh, I don't know how to index the website. There you go, look, Dimitri B is 3 in a row. He knows these things. Why does it have a cross through it? Not Andreas is back in the 3rd, and Denzel is still at the top. He's like 30 points ahead, yeah, of the shark. In 2016, how many sites did Google have in its database? It's multiple choice, remember. 19, 2 quadrillion, 160 trillion, or 34 million. You have 15 seconds to think about this. These are big answers, like huge. Or is it? Is it just 19? Somebody thought it was 19. Come on, this is Google. They have more than like 2 pages. So yes, it's 160 trillion, which is quite a few. And that's as of 2016 as well, so that's not even like today. There we go. Not Andreas is taking it away. There he is. Powell has an answer streak of 8, and he's still not winning. Like, come on. And Dimitri V is there, and cross through 640. Maybe it's a connection issue, maybe. And Rumyaska down to 5. Everyone is familiar with mistletoe tradition, but what color are the berries? It's important questions. Are they white, lies it has no berries, red or purple. 5 seconds. It's important. Like, if you want to kiss someone, you want to know what color the berries are. They're actually white, not red. Red is holly. Come on. Can't kiss anyone under holly. And then somebody thought they were purple. There we go. See, Powell knows. 9 in a row. And yeah, everyone else is not underestimated slipping. In machine learning, what kind of neural network would be good for computer vision tasks? Is it a convolutional neural network, a recursive neural network, or a biological neural network? And that's a cat. So we're on the machine learning questions now. Had quite a lot of machine learning there. It's a convolutional neural network. And then there's recursive. It's good for other things. And biological is the stuff you have in your head. It's not biological. We haven't figured that out yet. Is this the last 9? Oh, jeez. Okay. We're really smashing through these. Okay. Bob, and then what was it like? Who wants to be a millionaire? Here we go. And of course there's an advert. Come on for Kit Kat. Just 2 seconds. Sorry. Bye. Okay. Here we go. There we go. That's what we need. That's what we need. Okay. We're back to the quiz. Everything's got very serious all of a sudden. Powell is ahead. And 640 by 480 is climbing. Like, he's doing quite well. Dimitri B is still there though. It's all up to play for. What model were Transite using to predict flooding? Were they using a sequence-to-sequence model, a recursive model, a Gaussian model, or elliptic curve? Yeah, machine learning stuff. Completely different answers. Like, completely mixed. It was a sequence-to-sequence one, and he went on about it, and there were so many formulas. It was kind of like a maths lesson, but it was really interesting. But deep. There we go. 640 by 480 is now leading. Now at the top. Powell is number 2. Nikart, who I probably crucified the name, is up 6 places. 6 places. And Romyaska is in 3rd now. Pokemon Go, here we go, important question, is built on what? Is it DigitalOcean, Docker Swarm, Kubernetes, or a strong and reliable code base? It's actually Kubernetes. Like, it's actually built on Kubernetes. It's the poster child, because even though they built it terribly, it still kind of did okay for quite a bit. There we go. It's still 640 by 480. Sajak is back in it at 5, and that's it. Apparently Nivki has had 3 in a row, so you're back in the game wherever you are. So there's 3 networks in Kubernetes, in a Kubernetes cluster. Is that true or false? And that's a picture of Serial, not a Kubernetes cluster. It's actually false. There are only 2. And sorry. There you go, 640 still at top. Marinke is snuck in the bottom there. Between the top and number 5, there's now 3,000 points. That's 3 questions. Kubernetes uses a manifest file, but what format is it in? Is it XML, HTML5, JSON, or YAML? It's not HTML5, guys. It's YAML. It's YAML. This is not changing too much. 640 by 480 is ahead by 400 points, so you've got to really get in there fast. If a pod selector is blank, what happens? And there's a picture of what that looks like. If that happens, does it allow everything access to the cluster? It denies everything to the cluster, or nothing at all? Just meh. It actually denies access to everything in the cluster. Most people got. I think some people were like, what is going on here? Powell, there it is. New top leader person. And 3 in a row, Amiko, who is clearly a Kubernetes developer, back in the game. In which direction should you stir mincemeat for good luck? Is it clockwise or anti-clockwise? Or never stir the mincemeat? Now, these are important questions. You need to know this for Christmas dinner. It's clockwise for good luck. Clockwise. See? There we go. 640 knew that it was clockwise. They have done Christmas dinner before. Tina is back in the game with a streak of 3, and more or less everyone else at the top is kind of, yeah, still there. What is not a type of encryption? Is it asymmetric, Alan Turing, Delphi Hellman, or symmetric? There you go, it's Alan Turing, because that dude did lots of computer stuff, breaking Enigma code. Everything else was an encryption method. Looks like 640 might take this, but it's still to play for. Yang is back in it at number 5, and Peter is in there at 4. I don't think we've seen his face for a while. What is the name of the standard for defining public key certificates? Is it Y347, X404, Y501, or X509? This is not an easy one, and those are like little chicks with glasses on. There we go. Apparently everybody knows that. How does everybody know that? Yeah, it's actually X509. Apparently everyone knows that one. Okay, fine. Yeah, no change at the top. Nothing interesting to report. Apparently everyone knows about X509. Last one, almost last one. Node.js is multi-threaded. True or false? And that's a picture of Stonehenge, which has no relation to Node.js at all. It's from our Node.js talks. It's false. Like, it's single-threaded, and there are a couple of ways that you can make it do fun things on a different thread, but the main thing is single-threaded. Yeah. And apparently Keaton is back in the game, but it's like the last question, so like maybe they can pull it off, maybe not. I mean, I don't think they can, because there's 3,000 points between 5th and 1st, and I think there's only 1,000 points to gain, so maybe it could change. We'll see. Traditionally, which country gifts a Christmas tree that's placed in Trafalgar Square? This is British knowledge for Brexit. Important stuff. Is it Norway? No one, because of Brexit. Finland or Sweden? You've got 15 seconds to answer this one, so you can think about it. I get the feeling Andreas might know this. If he doesn't know this, then like come on. This country's heritage. So it's actually Norway. Norway traditionally buys the Christmas trees, and we put it in Trafalgar Square. Not Sweden and not Finland. They are all snowy, Christmassy places, but yes, and 10 people thought Brexit, because yeah. So that kind of rounds it up, and this is now very exciting. You can probably turn off the tense music and change the atmosphere ever so slightly. Maybe we can do something like, I don't know, celebration song. Maybe this will do. Let's try and find that. This one, that looks exciting. There we go. Yeah, this is exciting. Okay, cool. Back to the quiz, which I've now lost. Here it is. Yeah, so the quiz. Thanks everyone for doing the quiz. If we do it in like reverse order, so in 3rd place is Peter. Right, there, let's sit next to the board. Right, so we have a round of applause. And send me a message, and I will sort that. Cool. Yeah. Congratulations. Okay. In 2nd place, let's get rid of this guy. In 2nd place is Dimitri B, who's been in there all the time. So yeah, can we give him a warm round of applause? There you go. Congratulations. And then the new winner, the crown prince of, or princess, because 640 by 480 could be either. Who knows? Is 640 by 480. Who's that? It's this guy. Look, he's in the winner's corner. Okay, lovely. Right, Valerie had the raffle. Valerie put the raffle.
Oh, it's there.
Okay, right. So hopefully everybody got a. Slightly. Hopefully everyone got a raffle ticket on the way in. Did everybody get a raffle ticket on the way in? Now's a good time to say no. If you didn't, we can give you a new one. Gets thrown in. If you don't have one, you can't win. And we have like a table of beautiful prizes. So while we're doing, I can go through the prizes. We have a marvelous selection of O'Reilly books in all different topics. There's big books from O'Reilly in machine learning. You lost yours. Okay, I have new ones. Let's grab a new one.
I lost track of mine.
Yeah, 666. Yeah. No, I will go. Right, okay, so 2 new winners. Go in the thing. Anybody else? Everyone's got a ticket, right? Yep. Yeah? Almost. Okay. Right, so everyone's in there. Yeah, back to the table of fun stuff. So, yes, there's O'Reilly books. There are GitHub mugs, which are really nice. GitHub also gave us some t-shirts, and I think you said they were ladies? No?
There's 2 men's medium and there's 2 ladies medium.
Which ones are which?
So the top ones are the men's medium.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're a bit out of
And then the bottom are the ladies. Okay, cool. So yeah, it's t-shirts.
Okay.
What's going on now?
Yeah, it's turning. Let's do a loop on this one and
Okay,
then.
got too excited.
Very good.
Celebration.
Here we go.
Okay, and then we have DigitalOcean slippers. My mom really wants these. Yeah, I've got a couple of DigitalOcean hoodies, which I only give to speakers normally, but because it's Christmas, you can win one. And I have them in different sizes, not just that one. So if you want one, we'll sort that. There is a massive bottle of Heineken because we drink a lot of Heineken, and this looked really cool. That's really nice. There is a O'Reilly little pencil case, and inside the pencil case there's lots of fun things like headphones, which are O'Reilly ones. There's a little notepad, and there's a badge, and a little thing, and it's lovely there. So that's fun. Or you can risk it all and have a wrapped present. And they may or may not all be from Hamer, but who knows? There's lots of fun things in there. There's like games and stuff like this fun stuff. So yeah, the way it's to work, I will hopefully you're a thing in here, and I'll just pull them out randomly and not with any care in the world, and then we'll just work our way through it, and then when everyone gets bored, we'll stop. Yes, okay. So first winner is 658. Yes, see, I told you, they get thrown out, so you can't win again. What you can have a selection of anything. Yeah, that's a very good point. We also have like posters which blocks the way of the projector screen, and then mystery bottles of like big bottles of like bubbly things. They're also in the selection, so you can have whatever you like because you're a winner number one. And like that's it. She's gonna cry to sleep now. Yeah, there we go. Okay. It's like everyone just leaves. So it's like that's it. I don't care anymore. Okay, 229. Anyone got 229? Yes, go to the back. Congratulations. Let's do clapping because it makes this less awkward. Lost the screen. Okay. What would you like, sir?
A t-shirt?
T-shirt, yes. Do you have one?
Yes.
That's you? There we go, sir.
Thank you.
Nice, congratulations. Okay, next in line is 221. There it is, winner. You lost the ticket, come on! Okay, hopefully you got another one, right? Okay, right, we'll try and pick that one out at some point. If I pick that one out now, it'll look very rigged, and that's not good. How about 235? 235, great, I got it. Okay. There we go.
Can you see it?
No, unless he says so.
Probably with
You
an
want a
M.
hoodie, and I tell you what, take that one, and then at the end I will get you one.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. No. Okay, congrats. Okay, next in line for things to win is 220, which seems, yeah, very close. 220, anybody? Yeah!
t-shirt girls then.
T-shirt girls, that's one of these. Okay, you can have, that's an M, or you can have, great, good stuff, yes. Next in line for the prize is 210. What would you fancy?
Ladies t-shirt.
Ladies t-shirt, one of those? Oh, man. Alright, other guys are like, no, I want a ladies t-shirt. Right, so we're a bit lower. You can have DigitalOcean ladies t-shirts if you really want one. There we go. 660. 660. Yeah, congrats, there we go.
T-shirts.
Yes, there's a video one. Yes, okay. Nobody's choosing my mystery prizes. And they're good prizes, they're fun. 201. 201, there he is. What would you fancy? There's bubbles as well if you want them.
I'll take just a cup.
Just a cup?
I'm
Yeah,
a simple guy.
That's fine, that's a really nice cup. Congrats. For his coffees. Next up, and I can't pick one. Here we go. 232. Anyone for 232? This one that's been lost. Nobody's on 232. Okay, that was good. Next in line is 204. Yes. Yes, there he is. Right then, what do you want?
I'll take
a mystery bag of O'Reilly goodies.
the work stuff that matters.
Nice, that's cool. Congrats, enjoy. It doesn't matter. Then we've got 665. 665, I had it. Yep, there he is. There's the guy back. Okay, so what's left? There's quite a few things. There's like posters, bubbles, other bubbles, like mystery prizes. Posters and mysteries. A cup. What's Q-bot for deep learning. Nice. Cheers. Enjoy. Right, next up in line for prizes, there's still quite a few left, so this can go for a while. 203. 203, yeah, it's Edward. What are you going to take out? The huge bottle. There you go, 1.5 litres of Heineken. There you go, right, so the big prize is gone. It is now 650. Yes, there he is. What do you fancy? You still have bubbles left. But now you go for the most. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, go for it. Put these on the table. Oh, broke the bag, not the ball, thankfully. Okay, next up is 226. 226, there he is. Right, which one do you fancy? Yeah, mystery box. Amazing. Okay, cool. Merry Christmas. I wrap them up so it's more exciting because then you're going to open them. What have we got next? 216. 216? Yes. Got a long way to come, but we'll do clapping. Okay, Rich, what's your fancy?
Did you still have the sweater?
I can get you a sweater. Yeah. Oh. I can. Find me for the sweater. Find me for the sweater.
That's how that works.
I never do that.
No more sweaters. That's the last sweater. I only had 2. No more sweaters. Next one is 657. 657. Yeah, this guy. Yeah? What do you fancy? Yeah, go for it. Enjoy. Need to drink some beer. 215, 215. Yes, there we go. 215. There we go. Nice. Enjoy. We've still got quite a few tickets left. 231. 231? Nobody? No? Okay. What we got? 664. There he is, yeah. There's still bubbles and posters on mystery prizes. Perfect. Yeah. There's no takesies, backsies, but you can swap them, I guess. Nah. I should go back in. 230.
Yay.
Yes, there we go. You were winning the quiz at one point. What would you like? Some bubbles there as well. Cool. Nice, enjoy. I did jazzy rapping like it's pink. Okay, 649. Yeah, next to each other. How's that? There we go. Little box, mystery box. Nice. Okay. 217. 207. Bas himself. There we go. You take back on your posters.
I'll just take this because I need a new bag for my toiletries.
There we go. Very practical prizes. Toothbrush and stuff. Yeah, like go on a holiday. Next up is 224. There we go. Right.
Can I wrap it?
You can, yeah. You can't put it back. No, that's it.
Cocktail recipe card.
There we go. Some important stuff. Like, you're on the head of the cocktail fest. Next in line for a prize is 206. There's a. What would you fancy, sir? It's up to you. Mystery jar. Nice.
May or may not.
Mystery jar, and then there is 214. 214? Yeah. Prizes. What would you fancy? Yeah, you got those are those. Or mystery boxes. Good stuff. Nice. Enjoy. Mystery boxes. Next is 666, which is the person that's those are these. Those are those.
I'll take this. Thank you.
Cool. Cheers. Prizes. There's like 5 left, and then we'll group the books by 3. 227. Yeah. Got that all the way around. Yeah. Maybe he's thought about what he wants. What would you fancy, sir?
No idea.
We've got posters, bubbles, mystery prize, or books.
Posters of what?
These are GitHub. So this is Hugo, and the other one is.
I'll take that.
Okay. Cheers. Maybe you should get the posters out. Yeah, show them. This is the glamorous, like, game show presenter thing. Like, this is what you could be winning. And you get a free poster tube, by the way. Everyone is like, genuine hip-hop merchandise. And now I have to get this paper tube. There we go. So yeah, you've seen posters. Everyone wants them now. Who's gonna get it? No, lost it. 202. Yeah. We have bubbles, posters, of books. Books. So you can have multiple to get everyone. So have like. Yeah. One more. But yeah. Okay, great. Good stuff. Right, no worries, enjoy. So it's all the AI stuff in the book section. Okay, coming towards the end. 233. Am I on 233? Is another last one? Is not 233? No? Okay. We have 651. Yes, there he is. Congratulations. That's still all the way around. Yeah, if you take the bubbles, you get a free carry bag. But you should carry it like properly. You don't have books. Okay. So these are, three. So yeah, it's all
They're all the same.
They're not all the same.
There's nothing in it.
Nice. Enjoy. So yeah, there were bigger AI books at the beginning, but now it's small ones. Okay, still got the posters on the go. Great for your wall. 645. 645. Yeah. There we go. We have a taker. Good stuff. Okay. 667. Yes? I feel like you lost your ticket too. Okay. You can have all of the books in the bubbles. There we go, sir. Give you a bag. Don't carry by the handles. Good stuff. Enjoy. And okay. Next one is 647. 647? Yeah. So now we have all of the books. Yeah, go for it. No. Okay, so yeah, we have effectively two prizes left. There are bubbles or there are books. First one goes to 655. 655, that's it.
Wait.
No, yeah, just don't carry
Too much machine learning at work already.
Good stuff. Okay, right, so the last prize of the evening, which is for the books, is 662. Anyone know who got 662? Nobody wants the books. Then it's going to be 218. 218, there he is. You are now the proud owner of 4 machine intelligence, TensorFlow. Like literally, your life is going to be version AI. There we go, good stuff. Right, thank you so much, everyone, for playing. Yeah, we have more beer, and you can stay more or less as long as you like. It's like 9:45, so yeah, grab a beer, chat. If everyone can put the chairs in that direction, that'd be great, and then there's room to like mingle. Yeah, thank you for coming. Thanks. There we go.